Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome to another vlog of Clear the Cart for the end of 2025. I have 5 books for y'all today and we're gonna, as usual, go through them very quickly and I will talk about the ones I'm starting with and then I'm gonna talk more about the books obviously as I read them throughout the vlog. The first one is my Kindle read, which is an ARC, and that is Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck. This is a book about a girl who is kind of like not sure what she wants to do with her life. She's kind of been putting off being an adult. She's living with her mother and her mother's new partner, and she's been like applying to grad school over and over again for like 3 years and isn't really like finding the program that she wants, so she's been just like putting it off. This is like post-pandemic. They do talk about the pandemic in this. Not my favorite thing in a book, but it's not overly discussed. It's just kind of like mentioned. So she's living with her mother and this guy moves in next door with his daughter and they have like this really adorable meet cute actually at the apartment complex, and then they just kind of keep running into each other and develop a little bit of a friendship. And she's got like a lot of messy stuff going on in her life. I don't really know how she's going to resolve all of that, but I'm assuming the romance is going to be between the two of them, but it's really, I think, going to be about her figuring out what she really wants and actually like making decisions and not relying on her mom and like other people to get her through things. And I think she's going to find like a new rock in him. That's what it seems like, but it's okay so far. I didn't particularly like Kate Goldbeck's previous romance. I tried to listen to it. Maybe it was because I was listening to it and I just didn't like the audiobook narrators. So I may try to read it again if I do enjoy this, because so far I'm like already like 40% of the way through the book because it's a super fast read. I started it at the gym yesterday, didn't get too far because I was finishing up Splintered Kingdom. And then I read it this morning when I was at the gym and I'm already like 40% of the way through. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I think there's going to be a lot of character growth. I'm hoping for our FMC in the second half of the book for her to kind of get to a place where I think she'd be in a healthy relationship, but that's just my opinion. So I guess we'll see. But enjoying it. It is obviously single dad. And she's like, there's like a proximity there because they're next door neighbors. So enjoying it so far. I also have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. I have also started this just this morning, and all I can really say about it is that we're following Lorelai. She's our main character, and her academic rival, Sylvia. I keep wanting to call her Sylvie, but it is Sylvia. And they go on this expedition with their like mentor to find this creature for the king. And on the expedition, Lorelai finds their mentor murdered. And obviously somebody on the boat had to do it because they're on a boat. Obviously, like, it's not like anybody could just come on and murder and then walk away. So it's one of their colleagues. There's only like 8 of them on there. So now it's kind of like who did it, but they also have to continue the expedition for the king. So that's pretty much it. So far, not too far in, but I'm enjoying it. It seems to be a very quick read. I've never read anything by Allison Saft before, but it's kind of like got that gloomy doomy, like, the weather's kind of, you know, like wet and mystical and everything on the waters, and there is magic and stuff too, so I think this is like a perfect read for this time of the year, and I got this last year, so it's time to read it. Got it last year like this time of year. I also have Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I'm not going to talk too much about this. I haven't started reading it yet, but I think it'll be the next book I go to once I finish one of these two. Been looking forward to this one for a while. I have The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle, which is the first book in the City of Phantom. And the second book, A Rebel in Rose or something like that. It's something like that. That comes out very soon or has just come out. So depending on how I feel about this, I may get that to continue the series next year. Probably will not continue it this year. I have enough other books to read. And then finally, I will be reading Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This is a thriller that I believe is based on like a situation that occurred with Ted Bundy in a sorority house. So it's based off that, for my knowledge. So yeah, that's what I got for this one. When I finish up a book, I will come back and let you know how I felt about it, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so I have my first update. I finished A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. And like I said earlier, this is about, we're following Lorelai. She's our main female character, and she is leading this expedition with her mentor to go find, I thought it was a creature, but it was actually this like magical body of water that like gave people powers. And she is chosen to lead the group of people with her mentor. And while they're on the boat, her mentor is murdered and nobody knows who did it. So she's trying to find out who, but as well as still complete the king's quest and get this like sample of this water to give him power. So there is romance in this. This is a sapphic romance, which I don't typically read, but I did enjoy this. I gave this 3 stars. Not my favorite. Like, not a lot happened. It was, I would say there was action and everything, but the vibe was just like cozier than it was like more high fantasy, and even like romantasy. It didn't really hit the romance till like the second half of the book. So like I enjoyed it. It was a very quick read. I think her writing was very easy to get through. So this is the first time I've read anything by this author. Actually, I think every author in this vlog is a new author to me, which is very interesting. But I had a good time. It was a very interesting magical world, and I think the vibes were like great for this time of year because it was kind of like dark and gothic, and there was magic, but not like a ton of it. It was more about like the creatures and the quest and finding out like who is betraying who within this group of people. So had a good time, 3 stars. Still reading Daddy Issues. I may finish that tonight. I don't know. It just depends on like how much I get through. But the next book I'm going to pick up is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. And I believe this is like an enemies to lovers, 2 rival gangs, kind of maybe like a little Romeo and Juliet, or like, what's the other one? What's the other, like, the 2 gangs in the musical that I can't think of right now? West Side Story. Maybe that kind of vibe. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see. It is YA. The second book is coming out soon, and I'm excited to get to this. I've had this for about a year now, so I'm excited to finally get in. And I do have this on my Libby app as well, so I can go back and forth between reading it virtually and obviously in the book form. So I will do that. But I'm excited because the writing in this book is massive. So like it's thick, but the writing's really big because it's YA. So I will update when I'm done with Daddy Issues and maybe have something to say about The Dagger and the Flame. Okay, so I have got about 140 pages into A Dagger in the Flame, The Dagger in the Flame, and so far I'm enjoying it. It is about our main character, Sarah, who is part of the Cloaks, and Ransom, who is a dagger. And these are like 2 opposing gangs in this city of Phantom, and there's a lot going on in the city right now. Like, the Cloaks are basically the thieves and the daggers are the murderers, and they're not allowed to do like each other's jobs, but they're also like rival gangs. And there's like rumors of like a monster in the city, and they all use this shade, which is like a substance. The daggers use it, they ingest it to help them kill, and then the Cloaks use it to like cloak themselves in shadow. So they just wear it, they don't ingest it. So that's the main gist of it. I think there's going to be like a enemies to lovers romance between Sarah and Ransom. Sarah also has a dog named Pippin, who is the best part of the book because he's a dog. So far, we're really just learning about like Sarah's background and where she got to where she is now, which is like trying to be a cloak. And we're learning a little bit more about Ransom as well. So this is dual point of view. It does like come from both of their points of view. So we're getting like bits and pieces of that. And right now their stories have crossed, but they're not like super crossed yet. So enjoying it so far. That's pretty much the gist of the book. I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to say, but I think that it's going to revolve around like this monster that they're not sure actually exists, but there's just like rumors of this monster in Phantom. So that's where I am with that. I did finish Daddy Issues last night, and I really did enjoy that book. I was surprised because I tried to read her first book, Kate Goldbeck's book that she released like last year. I tried to listen to it on audiobook and I didn't like it. So I only got like a little bit in. It might have been the narrators, it might have been the characters, I don't know. But I never finished it, so I was like a little hesitant on this, but the storyline sounded good and I really did enjoy it. I said earlier that I was hoping for a lot of like character development of our main lead, Sam, and I think that that was done in a very realistic way, and I think it was definitely more relatable towards the end. So I did really end up enjoying it, so that was good, and I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. So would recommend. I think it's You Again is the name of the other book. I may give that a shot again. I may try to read it rather than listen to it, because again, it could have been the audiobook narrators, but yeah, these characters were more likable, I think. But they were both like very messy, and I think that it was a messy romance done well if you could look past that for the beginning. So did enjoy that. I am also, I think, going to start reading Out on a Limb as I'm reading The Dagger and the Flame, because I do have The Dagger and the Flame on Libby, so I am able to read it on my Kindle, and I like to have a physical and a Kindle read at the same time, so I can kind of go back and forth. So now that I have finished another romance, I can start this one. All I know about this is that it has an accidental pregnancy trope, and I think they're just like friends, and that's it. That's all I know. And then it's just them dealing with the pregnancy. So yeah, and that says it on the back, so that's not a spoiler. It does say that she gets pregnant after a one-night stand on Halloween on the back. And yeah, I've heard great things about this. I just got People Watching from my Love Story Society box. So it was like a special edition of that book, and it is gorgeous, and I really want to read it, but it's not on my TBR for the end of the year. So maybe early next year I'll get to it, but first we're going to start with this, and we'll go from there. So once I have another update about either this or The Dagger and the Flame, I will come back and talk about it. Okay, everyone, I finished up Out on a Limb before work this morning, and I loved this book. I think that it had great representation. It was just a very unique way to tell the pregnancy trope, the accidental pregnancy trope. The characters were just fun, and they had that like immediate like, yeah, soulmate connection kind of thing. Like they worked for each other, and I like that. And yeah, the representation and everything, and I think how it was handled, and it wasn't like this deep dark part of the book. Like the author tried to handle it with like grace and a little bit of humor, which I think you have to when things are what these two people are going through and have been going through. So I really enjoyed this. Looking forward to reading Out of the Woods, which is the other one, I think, and seeing like what that's about, because we do know the couple from in here, and I haven't heard people like that one as much as this one, so I'm interested to see, but they're already married, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But 4.25 stars. I also finished up The Dagger and the Flame at lunch today, and again, I thoroughly enjoyed this like second 2/3 of the book. The first third, like building everything and getting the relationships going and stuff, was a little slow, but it really picked up. I think it had a great ending. I think it's going to lead into a fantastic second book. I liked the tension that we had between the two characters and how their storyline went in this book, because I think that's going to cater well into the next book. I can't obviously say too much about it, but I think that the way that the author chose to go in the direction with their relationship in this will definitely lend to a very interesting second book. And that does come out at the beginning of December. I don't have it pre-ordered, but if Barnes does a pre-order sale between now and then, I probably will pre-order just to save some money on it, because I do want to get it and I do want to read the next one. So this was 4 stars. And then I also am going to be starting Bright Young Women today. This is based on the Ted Bundy story, where he went into a sorority house and like murdered a bunch of the girls in the house. And that was just like one of the many Ted Bundy things. And I thought this was more about like the crime, but I don't know that that's the case, because I was reading a little bit of like people's reviews on it, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about this book now after reading that, because a lot of people were like, I liked the story, it was just a very infuriating read, and I think it's going to deal a lot with like how Ted Bundy was viewed in the public eye. He was kind of like, you know, this charismatic, like handsome man, like how could he be a murderer? Like, no. But I have a feeling that's what it's going to lean towards, which is one of my biggest pet peeves about the whole Ted Bundy thing, is that people just didn't think it could be him because he was who he was. So we'll see. I will report back on that, but I'm still interested to read the story because it was based on that, and I am back in my true crime era. So I've been listening to a lot of Crime Junkie in the car to get me to and from work. So I'm interested in that, and it is the time of year to read stuff like this. So I've been wanting to read this for a while. I've had this for over a year, so excited to get into it, and I will update when I have some thoughts. Okay, time to wrap up this vlog. I unfortunately think I have a cold. I've been taking medicine today, but I've literally just been laying in bed, and I went to bed really early last night, so I didn't finish this book till like this morning, which was not intentional. So you're going to be seeing this vlog literally hours after I finish the final book, but that's fine. So I did finish up Bright Young Women, and I don't know if it's because I just know the story of Ted Bundy so well, because I do enjoy listening to true crime documentaries and watching them and like listening to the podcasts and stuff, that I just, a lot of it's just repetitive to me. And they never named the killer, so I really do think it was as factual as it could be while still being a fiction book. There was obviously like, the author took creative license with I think some of the stories in here, but for the most part it did relate very much back to him. It just wasn't like that interesting to me, and I think again because I just knew so much and I knew it was going to happen. So I gave this 3 stars. It was infuriating, but like if you understand the whole Ted Bundy situation and like how people didn't believe that he could be a killer because he was so charismatic and like this perfect guy. And it's kind of the same thing with this like Luigi, I don't know how you say his last name, the guy that killed the CEO of the healthcare company. It's kind of like that coming back, but like much worse because of the level of Ted Bundy's crimes. But yeah, so 3 stars, not terrible, but like, yeah, not my favorite. Before that, I had finished up Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, and I gave this 4.25 stars. I read The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle, and I gave this 4 stars. I read Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck, and I gave that 3.75 stars. And I started with Alison Saff's A Dark and Drowning Tide, and I gave this 3.5 stars. So that is it for this vlog. Let me know again in the comments if you've read any of these books, thoughts, feelings, whatever you have to say, and I thank you all for going on this journey with me to try to clear this cart by the end of the year. It's not looking like it's probably going to happen. I might get close, which is all that I'm really hoping for at this point. I just want to get as many of these books read as I can, but with the holidays, who knows what's going to happen. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.